When the day came for my first Holy Communion, my father was not well enough to join us at the church. But as soon as we returned home, my mother took me to his room. He had not been able to speak very much at all for some time. As soon as he saw me, he smiled, and became so clear to me how important it was for him that I had received our Lord in Holy Communion. Though his illness had weakened him greatly, he was able to say a few words, "I am very proud of you today." 2 months later, my father died. Receiving the sacraments were seen as the major events of our lives. Regular confession was a part of family life. The whole family would go to the church on Saturday afternoon for confession. The most beautiful thing about my elementary school education was beginning every morning with the Holy Mass. This was the heart of our day. That much was clear to my family and to me. Just to comment a bit about this account of my first Holy Communion. In fact, my father had been diagnosed with a cancerous tumor on the brain and had had a surgery which was, this was in 1956, which permitted him to live a little bit longer, but eventually the cancer took him. And so the last months of his life he was living at home. We were taking care of him, and as I mentioned, for a good part of that time, he wasn't able to speak because it was in the stem of the brain and had quite an effect on his speech and also even to be able to formulate words. And so that was very striking to me that on that occasion he was able to say those words to indicate how important it was for him that I had made my first Holy Communion. And I like to relate, I also talk about this in the book, but one of the things that we always think of, the great sadness of having a parent be so sick and be dying, especially for children. But a grace that came for me was the regular visits of the priest to bring my father Holy Communion. And in those days, you set up a table next to my father's bed. He wasn't able to leave his bed, but we had a special, what they called a sick call set with a wooden cross that fit into a stand, and there was a little corporal and candles and holy water. And the priest would arrive in his cassock and surplice with a sacrament. We would meet him with a lighted candle. And of course, no one spoke because this was our Lord was present. And so they would go into my father's room, and then we would all leave so that he could hear my father's confession. And then when the confession was over, the priest would call us back, and then my father could receive Holy Communion, and we could all pray with him. And all of these experiences were such a gift to me, notwithstanding the sorrow of seeing my father suffering and eventually dying. I identified very strongly with the priest and with his ministrations to my father. And then it was also around the same time, just a little bit later, that I began to serve Mass, and of course serving Mass very, very close to the action of the priest. And so the whole mystery of the Holy Eucharist and the Holy Priesthood was very much before me. And of course, as I said too, we had in the Catholic school at that time the practice of Mass every day, and that left a really strong impression. I grew up with, first of all, the importance of the sacraments in our lives, and then correlative to that, or related to that, the importance of devotions, the enthronement of the Sacred Heart, Eucharistic devotions. We used to have on every Friday. We had the Sorrowful Mother devotion. We used to, every summer, make a little family pilgrimage. There was a place of devotion in a little town called Rudolph, Wisconsin. We would go there on a Sunday, and all of these are things which were so important to me in growing up. So as a priest, of course, I was immediately involved with families and involved with the Catholic schools. And I saw that there was no devotional life left practically. And then I also saw that people were not going to Mass on Sunday. People would lightly excuse themselves from Sunday Mass, let alone the consideration of daily Mass. And then also that the faith in the Eucharist had diminished terribly. And so I said to myself, the only way to restore this is to bring back the devotions. We're incarnational creatures. We express bodily the life of grace, and that has to be so much part of our life if our faith is to remain strong. So I tried as a priest to do various things to encourage the devotional life, but then when I became a bishop, I realized that I had a much greater responsibility in that regard. Every shrine in some way represents heaven. It represents the goal of our earthly pilgrimage. And so when we go on pilgrimage, it's always to recall to our mind that our life indeed is a pilgrimage. We are pilgrims on this earth on the way to our lasting home, which is in heaven.